What's going on, fam? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to take a look at the brand new unreleased boots from an undisclosed brand in a blackout colorway in a sample pair that you guys have seen recently on the feet of Harry Kane in some of the Tottenham friendlies. Some of you may have ideas about what they are. Some of you may have no idea. These are brand new to you, but ProDirect actually released 50 pairs of these boots to the general public, and they come in this blackout box. So we're gonna take a look at these right now. I'm very interested to see, and we're gonna go over at least some of the theories about what this boot could be, talk about which brands have created some stuff that's similar to this, and potentially what these are, and get them on feet, of course, which will be the most important thing, because I think if these fit really well, this could be a very, very dangerous pair of football boots for the football boot market in a really good way. So here we go. So it comes in a totally blackout box. It's a little bit of a shiny black, so all black here, all black there, some random information here on the back. And then here is, I actually had to black this out. Full disclosure, I actually know what brand these come from, but I am very interested to see kind of where they go with these. So this is the pair of football boots. You guys have probably seen it. These are in a men's 9, women's 10.5, which is a Euro 42.5, a UK 8, and 27 centimeters in the black and red colorway. So very, very interesting. I am super excited to see what these are like and sort of what the theories are behind this football boot, which is super, super cool. So let's get these unboxed straight away. Oh, nice. Okay, interesting. All right, so one of the things that this boot really reminds me of when I started to look at pictures of these on some of the leak websites that started to look at, some of the first websites to pull up this football boot when Harry Kane started to wear them, was it very much resembles a Phantom GT series from the Nike brand. I actually have a Phantom GT with me, which we'll put side by side with this one right away. And of course, Kane has been wearing Nike for a very long time. In fact, I think Kane's been a Nike brand ambassador for his whole career as far as his professional career goes at Tottenham. So everyone was kind of saying, okay, maybe these are the GT, maybe these are the newest version of the GT series, or maybe they're making an extra silo that's like the new Vapor or something like that. And so that's kind of where you get those ideas from. But this is a really interesting looking football boot for a lot of reasons, and I want to share why. Let's get these out of here as well. So again, just come as the pair of blackout boots there, and let's get this off the table. But very, very exciting to take a look at these boots. One of the coolest features that I'm seeing right away from these football boots is the fact that inside it says sample, not for resale, made in China, size men's 9. There's a thing right in there, that inside tag. So one of the things, I'll get this paper out of the way as well. So right away, it's very clear that this boot is a textile-based knit material, or a fully knit-based football boot with some sort of silicone coating over it. That's kind of the pretty easy structure you can see here. It's got a little bit of a collar. My understanding, now that I've seen some of the pictures on ProDirect from the general release of this football boot, like general release, there's only 50 pairs of these released to the public, but in those 50 pairs, there were some high-cut ones and some low-cut ones. This one happens to be a low-cut model. You've got the little knit material here around the collar that sticks up just a little bit higher than where kind of your ankle goes. It's very, very floppy, so there's nothing, I imagine, there's no reason behind this other than potentially just where they decided to chop the material for that high-cut collar boot. The knit seems to be pretty decent high quality. It doesn't seem to be anything to write home about straight away, but that's kind of where, I don't know, it's kind of hard to do knit and make it feel super premium straight out of the box. I think one of the things that knit materials do really well is wrap your foot. The whole point of having a knit football boot is that you get this really nice one-to-one sensation on your foot, and it ends up breaking in almost perfectly like a sock. That was the whole idea behind a knit. So that's the construction of this upper, at least that's what it feels like. There's a really nice suede heel liner in here as well. I know these are blackout boots, and it's really difficult to kind of tell the contrast there, but there's a basically I'll tell you there's a suede liner on the heel area, and there's a little bit of a padding bar essentially that goes almost the width of my thumb kind of around like that. So my guess is that it's, you know, a little U kind of like that basically in padding. So my guess is that allows your foot to kind of sit into it, and this will be nice right around the Achilles. It's a little bit of a firmer pad. It's not as plush as something that we might have seen on like an X series, like an X Speed Portal or anything like that. I know those are like mega obnoxious, but this is just a very nice suede heel lining. It definitely feels a little bit nicer and a little more padded than the original GT series boots. And they've got that little kind of collar thing or little emblem where the Nike logo usually sits. So that's why for me, these are, it definitely feels like a Nike boot a little bit, which is kind of cool. So, and there's some features of, you know, these little lines as well that go through the upper, these little ridges. They're definitely high enough off the upper that I think you're going to get a decent amount of texturing on it or control on the ball compared to something that's pretty sheen like a Vapor or even a Crazy Fast or something like that that has no texturing to it. I wouldn't say that this is sticky like a Phantom GX, but I would say it's very similar. So now we'll bring this bad boy in here. So this is a brand new pair of World Cup GXs. This exact pair actually is for sale on my website. So if you guys do want this exact pair, then you can go pick that up. But the similarities to this football boot is actually pretty remarkable. And if you can see here, the texturing on the upper of the GT and this mystery boot actually feels super, super similar. I would say that the knit material of this mystery boot feel a little more pliable straight out of the box. So whether that, you know, helps with break-in time or whether that'll make it a little too wobbly back and forth on the sole plate, who knows? I need to try these on, so you can fast forward to the try-on portion of the video if you're not interested in any more of the comparison. As you can see with the Nike emblem here, there's that same logo here. So that's kind of where my brain was at with look how similar the construction is. Obviously from I would say that this is more of a traditional central lacing system, whereas the lacing system on the GT, this is a GT2 technically, is sort of a little bit more to the lateral side. And then the knit honestly feels pretty similar. I would say this knit here on the Phantom GT2 is maybe a little bit thicker, a little bit more dense, if you will. And then that heel area, that's where you really notice a difference in the heel. There's not very much padding and a pretty firm internal heel counter here on the GT2, whereas on this one, there is a little bit of a heel counter that goes up to about there, I would say, so about halfway up. Let's see if you can turn there you go. So about halfway up right there, but it does seem to have a little bit more padding there to give you a more customized fit, which is really nice. So very, very similar through the lacing system areas. And then the one thing that I noticed straight away when looking at these boots when I unboxed them, look how similar these sole plates are. How crazy is that? So the sole plates for me are the thing that really jumped out right away. I know they're a slightly different design. So the ones on this mystery blackout boot are there's a few more studs and they're a little bit smaller and less long, which I actually think might be super, super nice because I don't mind the GT2 sole plate. I don't think it's a bad sole plate by any means. But again, number one, the sizing was all screwed up. I think the sizing of the GT2 was kind of all over the place. And these studs are actually really long. Hopefully you can see kind of the differences. Let me see if I can get like a good, there you go. So like you can see how much more manageable this sole plate here on this blackout boot feels. And that to me, you guys know, I've spouted over and over again that I don't think the GT series was a good attempt by Nike to follow up from the Phantom Venom, and I just thought that the GT series was kind of meh in my opinion. It didn't really do anything that special, but for me, this blackout boot seems to do a really nice job of improving on potentially some of those things that the GT didn't do very well, including stuff in the heel and then making the sole plate a little bit more manageable so you could probably wear it on AG surfaces as well. As you can see, there's not as many, hardcore chevron studs and they're not as long either. These are more kind of rounded off diamond studs or anything like that. So very, very similar though. And that's the thing that really kind of caught my eye straight away, is that ridged kind of flex point right here in the midfoot. As far as flexibility goes, these have a really nice amount of rigidity. I would say that's something that these mystery boots do super well, is this is a massively rigid midfoot. So if you are somebody who likes a lot of snapback, these definitely feel like they're going to give you a good amount of snapback straight out of the box. The other thing that I'm noticing as well is if you look at the shape of the two boots, what I'm noticing right away is that the shape of this Blackout boot looks really neutral compared to the GT. The GT kind of has a pointed tip, and then it's got kind of a weird, it's got like the sort of a more bulbous area here in the forefoot and then thins out here in the midfoot. That's actually an area right here where I had a ton of issues in break-in time. Not a ton of issues, I would say, but just like they were really annoying to break in for me. Whereas these have much more of a natural looking feel and shape to them. They remind me a little bit of the Predator line. I would say the Predator line, as far as shape goes, fits sort of this area right here in the forefoot, but this midfoot area is sort of meh as far as that goes. So the midfoot does feel a little bit wider, or looks a little bit wider than that Predator series, even though the forefoot feels very similar. But I would say that those are kind of the two boots that really stick out to me. I don't think the future, I don't think this is a Puma boot, particularly because this is radically different than anything that Puma's done recently. And so that's an interesting one as well. I don't think this is similar enough to any of the Puma boots that are out on the market right now. This follows the shape, these lines kind of remind me a little bit of a Predator, where this is very much like a GT2, GT3 type of shape and look to it. Could it be something completely different? I don't know. But without further ado, I want to jump into the on-feet portion of the video, because number one, I'm really excited to see what these feel like on feet. I'm kind of interested by these, very much so. I'm very interested in these boots to see how they fit and feel. And so without further ado, let's jump into the on-feet portion of the video. We'll talk about how these fit, what the touch is like, and then I want you guys to go down in the comment section below, and I want you to tell me which brand you think these are, because this is a very interesting boot to me. So yeah, let's hop into it. All right, fam, out here on the pitch with the Blackout mystery boots. Very, very excited to test these and see what they feel like on feet. This is an artificial grass pitch, so I'll keep that in mind as I start to talk about the sole plate and the way it digs into the ground and all that stuff. So without further ado, let's hop into it. So there's those boots. Really nice looking, if I'm honest. I think the design of these boots is actually pretty sweet. It's very low key. There's not much going on here. It's obvious that it's a Blackout, so you're not going to get crazy colors or anything. But I do think that the fact that they have little red accents on the tips and this little swirl design actually looks really nice in my opinion. So let's get these on feet. I am not wearing traditional grip socks. These are Nike grip socks, which are like a really super thin sock that I like to use for the unboxing portion of the video that don't have crazy grip on them. And that just gives me the best options for feeling what the boot is like. They're the thinnest socks that I seem to be able to find. So, all right, without further ado, here we go. Getting these on feet. Boom. Okay. Wow. Actually very impressed with how these fit straight out of the box. They are definitely wide enough for my foot, which is widest in this area here. Getting these laced up. Sizing seems to be pretty good. There's about maybe like a tiny bit of space on the very end, which is totally fine. That's about how the GX fits and about how some of the other boots on the market fit for me. Just a little bit of extra space on the end. Tie these laces tight. Seems to be really comfortable. The knit seems to wrap your foot super nicely, and I get really nice fit all around. You can see me wiggling my toes right now. Really nice fit all around. I'm very impressed with these. The heel, that little heel, kind of whatever you call it, little U pad that kind of sits back here, though that feels super nice. Feels like it locks your ankle in really nicely. The sole plate feels really good. There is a little bit of space here on the outside that has a little bit of bowing, but I'm sure that will go away after break-in time. But yeah, wow. Okay, let's get the other one on feet, and then we'll talk a little bit about fit and sizing and get a ball involved, obviously, and get that all sorted as we go through the review. All right, ooh, a little bit difficult to get on. as our most new knit boots, just because they have sort of a smaller opening there. But right boot feels about the same as the left as far as sizing goes. Really nice, no hot spots at all so far, which is pretty impressive for a boot that is totally, no one really knows where they come from. And yeah, so very, very nice. So there's a look at these Blackout mystery boots. Honestly, a little bit of space there, a little bit of dead space there, but that's also the way that my big toe kind of forces, because of how many boots it's been in, it sort of forces its way inside. So there's a little bit of dead space. As I break those in, this happens on the GX as well. And as I break those in, this kind of space goes away. And then, as I said before, there's a little bit of space here on the top of the ankle, a little bit of bubbling there. But it doesn't seem to affect the way that this boot feels at all on feet. It wraps really nicely around your foot, and I don't feel like there's any issues as well there. The heel is the thing that I mentioned in the unboxing portion of the video that feels definitely different to the GT. I know I had said these have pretty remarkable comparisons to the GT, which I was not a huge fan of. But first of all, this boot fits a lot better than the GT straight out of the box. And the heel area also fits really nicely out of the box. So that's something that I'm excited about, because these do seem to be like a new and improved version, as well as the sole plate, which is something that I mentioned as well. A little bit less length on those studs, which is super nice. There's a good look at that sole plate. And you have the studs, especially here in the forefoot area, that are a little more rounded than the GT studs. I'm not saying this is a GT. I'm not saying this is even a Nike boot, but that's what I'm going to compare it to most, because it does have quite a bit of resemblance, especially with this GT-like generative texture material on the upper. It's a knit base with that coating, with that texturing. So that's pretty much what the GT was. That's why I'm comparing it to that boot so much. And as far as fit and feel, honestly, these are really fantastic. I can't complain at all. I have no hot spots whatsoever so far. The sole plate does a nice job. It feels pretty good on feet, feels really responsive. As I said, that midfoot area here was super, super stiff. So there is a decent amount of snapback. I'll do some little jogs and some sideways movements in just a sec. But overall, really super impressed with how these boots fit and feel. I'm honestly very, very excited about these. So there's a full look at the boots with the full kit. Obviously, with some white socks and a black kit, they look really cool. Blackout boots in general tend to be pretty sweet no matter what silo it is. Even an ugly boot that has some colors to it looks pretty good when it's in a blackout, and that's just by nature of the way that they sort of make them look really sleek and stylish. These boots, though, honestly, are pretty sweet. I can't complain. One of the things that I have really enjoyed about things like boots like the GX, the Hypervenom 3, Mizuno Morelia 2, a couple other boots on the market that I wear on a pretty regular basis. The new Tiempo is in there as well, although that boot, the 1 month review of that boot is coming out soon. You guys will know some of my thoughts about that one later on. But all of those sole plates are pretty flat. They're not curved like the X series is, the Crazy Fast series is. Even the Asics boots I can handle because there's a decent amount of flexibility, but I really enjoy sole plates that are a little flatter, just because it gives you a super nice passing and striking sensation, at least in my opinion. That's what it feels like for me. And these do exactly that. They sit almost exactly. You can see from this B can here, they sit really, really flat. I'm not flexing my toes at all. And this sole plate basically touches the ground all the way from toe to heel, as opposed to having a little lift like some of those other boots do. So that to me makes it feel really grounded, really nice. You know that all the studs are going to be into the grass. As far as the traction goes, no complaints really on AG. They feel really good forward and backwards, side to side. They feel pretty good as well. There seems to be a decent amount of lockdown. Obviously with boots like the GT, the GX, as you start to wear them in a little bit, because this construction looks so similar and feels so similar to the GT, that's what I imagine this is sort of based on. It may not be exactly that boot in construction, but it definitely feels that way. These feel definitely a little bit more malleable straight out of the box, which makes me think that they will be able to stretch and fit most foot types. That's something that this boot seems to do a pretty good job of, and it really does feel like this boot's gonna be suitable for most people, especially here in this width area. Sizing, as I said before, that size has that little thing at the end has completely gone away, obviously, as I've started to break in the boots even just now. That's something that usually happens, is the first time I try them on, my feet have to sort of uncramp themselves and get into the end of the boot. So a size 9 US fits perfectly for me. At least that's the, you know, the sample size is a size 9. If this brand stays with the similar sizing of the sample boots, go true to size, they'll fit exactly like most of the other brands on the market. I think Adidas fits a tiny bit long for those sizing, but as far as most of the Puma boots, most of the Nike boots, and New Balance boots, they all fit pretty much true to size. So kind of go with those sizing references, if you will. Touch on the ball is really nice, actually. I like the way that this knit is pretty thin and there's a little bit of that texture, so you do get a little bit of structure to the upper, so it's got a really nice feel to it, in my opinion. It feels more similar to a GT than it does a GX. So for those of you who really liked the feel of the GT, even if you didn't fit so well in it, it does feel really nice. Underfoot feel with the sole plate feels super nice as well. Very, very neutral. As I said, it's very flat, so that's something to keep in mind for those of you who like more flatter sole plates. But again, touch on the ball, super, super nice. I'll get some passing in it. You guys will see a short up on my Instagram as well, where I'll do a little bit more play test type stuff, and maybe I'll mention that in the voiceover as well, kind of how I'm feeling about the touch and the pinginess of the ball. It feels like it's going to be really, really nice. So I'm excited about this football boot. I think, you know, for those of you who, most of you probably don't even know what these are. I'm not sure at this point. I think as of the filming of this video, in a week's time, the brand is going to actually announce what they are, what their goals are, blah, 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 like all the media stuff for it. But I'm just excited to be able to have a pair of these sort of pre-release and be able to get this information to you guys. But these boots, honestly, I'm excited about these. Genuinely, these fit really, really well for my foot type. I imagine they're gonna break in even better, and they should give you guys, at least most people, a really nice fit and feel. And so for me, that's exciting. I think, you know, brands that come in with new football boots that have, you know, let's even say that this brand completely did everything based on the Phantom GT, and they developed this exactly to be like a Phantom GT, but a little bit better than that. Honestly, props, because at the end of the day, if it fits more people and it's better than a boot that people had some issues with, especially in that heel area and sort of with the sizing issues, I think they've pretty much fixed both of those things, at least for these. And whatever sort of the marketing material around this boot is, I think it should be marketed as a boot that is suitable for a lot of different foot types, is gonna fit really, really well. It's just a no BS upper with a little bit of grip elements to keep you playing really well in rain and in, honestly, snow and in sunshine. It's going to be totally fine. It's not overly grippy like a GX, and to me, this is a pretty well-rounded boot. So in my opinion, when you guys see the launch of this video, you guys can guess down in the comment section below which boots these actually are. Let me know what you think they are in the comment section below. And then of course, when they do properly release in about a week's time, I'll probably release a second video about them to talk about what the tech specs are and why I think they're gonna be competitive in the market and all that stuff. So hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you got value from it, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm releasing 2 or 3 videos a week, so you guys get consistent content and value there as well. If you guys are interested in pre-release content, including schedules for the entire week prior to the videos actually releasing, subscribe to my Patreon. It really helps out the channel, and it's a great way to ask more personal questions and really get into conversations about football boots, your career as a footballer, and all that stuff. So I'll leave the link down in the description box below. As always, be awesome. Take care. I'll see you guys in the next video.